But Drew Hernandez is a strong-minded individual.
Exposing lawlessness.
Hernandez, who is ideological.
Finding the truth.
And use the word Antifa.
This is what they do.
Battling
They're
mainstream
liars. The woke mob, all they can do is lie.
These are the front lines.
Continuing our conversation with the great Chloe Cole. Like I said, bold, brave, always proud of what you're doing. Chloe, let's just continue this conversation, picking back up from last night. So you've been manipulated, right? Social media, LGBTQ propaganda is the way I'm going to put it. Kind of caught you when you're questioning your identity, your sexuality at a young age, all over social media, telling you should, go through this, go to a doctor, get diagnosed, right? Gender dysphoria. The doctors are manipulating you and your parents, basically threatening your parents that you're going to die if you don't go through any of these surgeries or manipulate your body, or it's not accepted. Destroys your life. It is absolutely destroyed, not only you physically, but mentally it's taken a toll as well. And, where we are now, I think, is what I really wanted people to see you shine. Because when I see you speaking in Nashville, I'm in the crowd with all the psychos, right? Just all the demons and and I'm sitting there watching this and I'm like, I don't like to see this, but the world needs to see it. That is the light. Because when someone is coming out that has survived what has been done to this community and this generation and the backlash that comes from it, people need to see that. And I'm not saying that in a positive way, but that's why I say you're very brave for what you're doing, because this is Satan. Everything we just talked about on this last episode, that is demonic, what has been done to this generation and to you. Yeah. Talk to us about your experience now. Now that you're detransitioning, you've gone through the dark. I mean, I'm sure you're still going through a lot, right? But what has been your experience, kind of like just coming out and speaking out against this stuff now?
I mean, even when I first started just expressing that, I was starting to regret everything that I just hated how it made me look. I mean, I wasn't bad looking. I passed fairly well. I just looked like a young man, a little short for a man. But I mean, I was 15 or 16, so it's kind of just looked like I was a late boomer or something. But I got a lot of crap, even just for saying I really regret this. As when I said that I was detransitioning and that I was in a lot of pain, a lot of my former trans friends and some activists that I knew, they got really aggressive with me, and they started saying things like, "Oh, you're a spoiled brat, and you don't deserve your parents. They love you, and you don't deserve parents who would let you do this, and you're just hurting other real transgender people by talking about this. So you need to shut up." And for a while I did, because I was just a kid and I couldn't handle that kind of reaction. And
were you experiencing that from a lot of allies?
Allies
that were minors like you, or some adults? It was adults coming at you like that too.
It was mostly
or both.
It was mostly some older adolescents and some people who were young adults.
Got it.
And so I did just shut up for a while because I couldn't handle that kind of reaction. And they were telling me you're hurting other people. You're being a transphobe, and I didn't. That was a community of people that I thought really cared about me, and I cared about them, and so I didn't want to hurt them, and so I just stayed silent for a bit. And then I actually started spending some time in some online support groups for detransitioners and people who regret their transition. And it kind of exposed me to, it was like a culture shock almost, because it was so diverse in opinion that it was I was having my own views challenged, and I realized that after a while, what I was going through is a very real thing, and I can't just keep quiet about it, because I know that I'm not the only one who is going through this. I mean, I met a lot of adults who were detransitioning, but there weren't a whole lot of minors that I knew of then who were speaking out, and I knew that there had to be somebody like me out there. So I knew I had to start speaking up.
And here's the thing too is there are a lot of grifters. I'm going to tell you right now, and I wanted to tell you this personally to your face. Be careful in this whole right-wing movement. There's a lot of grifters. People are going to want to take advantage of you that don't care about you, that just want to use you because you go against the narrative, okay? So I just want to give you some advice. Be on the lookout always. Make sure that you're around people that actually care about you, because the same kind of manipulation that goes on the left, it could happen on the right too. So I'm just being real with you, okay? But I wanted to tell you is when you see that reaction, you weren't like, the reason why I bring that up is you weren't trying to grift your way into the right wing. You were genuinely in pain physically, mentally in pain. You were hurting, and you realized that you needed help out of this. And the people that you thought would be there for you ended up hating you. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
That's evil. I don't have any other way to put that other than it's just evil.
I would like try to talk to like trans women about it and like try to relate to them, because I used to be like a boy, and I kind of had like some of the same struggles as they did, and so I thought that we would have some things in common. But a lot of them ended up like just ostracizing me and just treating me really unfairly. And it was just like even in real life, I lost a bunch of friends over this, because I was kind of in distress. I wasn't always the nicest person, but at the same time, I just needed some support, and I just pretty much all around, I lost it.
When you're in Nashville, right, and you're up there speaking, and you're seeing all these people in the crowd that you thought were once people that cared about you, and they're calling you a fascist, they're calling you a Nazi. I heard it all, right? They're calling you a murderer. Like
that one I don't really get.
Because you're speaking out, you're a risk to trans lives now, right? That's the demonic, psychological bullying that these people do. I'm just gonna put it that way, right? It's like an abuser.
Yeah, and I'm just
right?
speaking out about my experience.
You're speaking out about being abused, and they're turning it around on you, and they're flipping it on you, saying that you're the abuser, that you're the threat.
Saying that I'm the one hurting trans kids when I was a trans kid who was hurt.
Absolutely. So how does that make you feel? Do you hurt for these people? Do you feel sorry for them? What's your heart for them?
I used to be. It's largely a delusion, and it's something that I used to be part of, and so just seeing these people who are still stuck in it, I hurt for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you this too: is your family, right?
Yeah.
Your parents. I'm sure they're going through hell too. Do they get a lot of crap from both sides? How could you let your child do this?
Yeah.
How could you let her even go through that? I could hear the right coming at them saying that, and then the left coming out saying, "How could you let her detrans? She's gonna kill other trans kids." Are your parents taking this hard too?
Yeah, that's why I keep them out of this, because I don't want them. I get a lot of hate, and I can handle it pretty well, but I don't want that for anybody else. I purposely keep them out of this, because I don't think they could. I don't know how they could handle it, and they have a lot to lose. Like they're people with jobs.
Well, let me just keep it simple. Are they in a good place?
Yeah,
they're in a good place because of where you are now. Yeah, well, that's good to hear. We're praying for your parents and for you as well. When you take a look at that, it is a. And people need to understand, it's not just like a physical change. This alters your entire life. And so when you see this being done to an entire generation of people, what do you see? When you see it on social media, you see it in the mainstream. Disney's coming out and trying to normalize all of this stuff. Now that your eyes are open, what do you see now when you see this whole trans agenda being pushed? Not on adults. Adults is one thing, right? But little kids, like K through 12, what do you see when you see that now?
It's kind of like I'm watching history repeat itself. But not only that, but I'm starting to see some new things happen too. Like the stuff I was seeing online at least like encouraged me to like keep my parents involved and like have like help them understand and like get involved with the medical professionals and like have like my blood levels and stuff monitored. But now they're like trying to push kids into doing it in secret
Mm-hmm.
without their parents knowing. And like, there's people who are like shipping hormones and binders to kids whose parents don't accept them as they are. And it's terrifying stuff. And it's really scary to see that it's gotten as big as it is now.
And so quickly. You know, what people need to understand too is like when you do research online and you look up detransitioning, right? Like you said earlier, there's not a lot. There's not a lot of information out there for someone looking to, you know, back out of it,
Yeah.
even for parents. It is, Matt Walsh said this last week on the show. He said that your generation, this generation, are quite literally the guinea pigs. And I think that's a testament, and you've experienced it, is, okay, well, what happens if a young kid wants to pull out of this thing? Oh, well, we don't know.
Yeah, the thing about that is, you know, it was back in 2017, 2018 when I started transitioning. And the doctors were like, and they didn't really know this, but they were like, oh, there's a very low regret rate, like less than 1%. They told that to my parents. And
For a child.
there's no
Unreal.
way. And I mean, there weren't really like a whole lot of people like me speaking out then. So they couldn't have known.
You know, this is why I just want people to know, this is why we go so hard on this show against this agenda, because of the manipulation that is not only, it's not going after adults, it's going after children and manipulating not just the child, but the family and the parents, attempting to disconnect them. Okay? That is what is taking place here. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is absolutely real. Chloe, well, let me ask you this, right? So this is a minority of people that have a gigantic megaphone. Yeah, in the mainstream media, in the culture, in the arts, in music. That has definitely been happening for the past couple of years, right? But so I don't want to give these people like further megaphone. Yes, all the dark stuff and the stuff that's been done to you, that has to be exposed, but I also want to hear the good stuff too as well, right? What are the good things that have been happening out of this? Have there been more people trying to contact you on social media?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, go figure, now social media is kind of like, is that like the portal of now there's other kids, other people that don't have anywhere to go that are
Oh, yeah.
reaching out to you? What's going on that front?
So it started really with like parents and just concerned adults in general reaching out to me. And now there's I've seen like an increase in people who detransition and people who get their transition, and even a few people who have transitioned as minors reaching out to me. Even Vanderbilt University has stopped doing their surgical operations, their gender affirming operations on minors.
Absolutely. I think it's a great thing because more people see this is the point we've always made, is they're like this leftist, you know, this globalist top down agenda, right? They want to isolate people, right? Abusers, they isolate their victims. That's exactly what's taking place here. They isolate their victim. They get everyone around them to trust them to do whatever they want, right? So now where we're at, it's good that there are people that are realizing, because what's been done to you and what's been done to this generation is quite literally physically, psychological, straight abuse. They've isolated this entire generation, and this generation is going to wake up. I hope they do. So it's an amazing thing to see people, you know, I've always said this, right? Like when you come out against this narrative, the hate is going to be there. But there's always going to be that same love as well. Have you been seeing that love from people coming
yeah,
out saying, hey, we
absolutely.
love you, we're proud of what you're doing? Are you seeing that as well?
Yeah, it really started with hate just within like the communities that I used to be part of. But I really think that the majority of people are against the practice of transitioning children. And I mean, being within like the transgender community online, it was really hard to see that at first, but sorry.
It's okay. How does that make you feel when people are reaching out to you?
It
Because you know that they might be going through exactly what you were in such a short time frame ago. How does that make you feel when they're reaching out to you now for help?
I mean, there's a lot there's a lot of emotions, but it's just I'm glad that I can kind of be like that support and maybe like a beacon of hope for other people, like from parents to other people who are in the situation that I'm in.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great thing. I think people that, you know, I've always said this is like this generation, I think, and I don't know if you think this, but I think that the day of reckoning's coming because I think the generation's going to wake up. I think there's going to be a lot of people that wake up to the reality that they were manipulated when they were young, just like you, and they get older and they realize, hey, this wasn't just like a trend. This was an actual like agenda against my life and my existence. What do you foresee for the future? Do you see a lot of others just like coming up and just aggressively speaking out against these people in the future?
Yeah, I'm already starting to see like a huge wave of detransitioners pop up, and it's only going to get bigger in the next decade.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's a great thing.
Oh yeah.
You know, let me ask you this too, is when you take a look at the culture, when you take a look at Disney, you take a look at, you know, obviously these doctors, you take a look at, you know, so-called public figures or musicians or all these talking heads, right, that are spewing this message that trans kids should be able to do this, they should be able to do this to their bodies, all over TikTok, all these influencers, people like, you know, Dylan Mulvaney, this attack on women. What is your take on that? What's your take on Dylan? I'm curious.
It's honestly, it's a little insulting that he like calls himself a girl and not a woman. Like he's trying to like emulate not only like the experience, but also like pick and choose like parts of the female experience, but also like emulate like the look and personality of a teenage girl, which that's an experience that he will never know because he's biologically male and he never grew up as, he will never understand what it means to grow up as a woman and the things that they face. It's very disturbing.
I've always said this is a clear attack on women. It's just like a bunch of really mentally disturbed males just taking from women, just straight taking their identities. I mean, the dudes in the White House talking to Biden about this stuff, it's like, oh, well, maybe that could have gone to a real woman. I don't know, you know? So like
maybe a real trans kid. Yeah, one of the things he said was like it was like, don't mess with trans kids. That was, he was right about that.
And he's running around pretending to be a little kid.
He was right about that though, because they really got to stop messing with kids and keep them away from like all the medications and scalpels.
It's pretty psychotic. I mean, people like that. I mean, what do you think is really going on inside that guy's head? Do you think it's like just he loves the attention? Like, how much do you think that's going on in your generation too? Are there people that are just obsessed with the attention? Because now if you're the trans kid in high school, you're like popular. You can pop on TikTok like nothing overnight. Is that part of it as well? Is there like an attraction to becoming famous if you identify as trans right now?
There is a little bit. It's like feeling that kind of like validation of like being called like the opposite sex and actually being perceived as the opposite sex. Like I said earlier, I passed as the opposite sex, and a lot of people genuinely thought I was actually like a boy. Like most people didn't even know that I was transgender. There was like, it was, I can't even describe what the feeling was. It just felt good.
That validation.
Yeah, but there's a bit of a honeymoon period, which I didn't know about this until it ended for me.
Because you're told that if you just do this, you're going to be happy. You'll be accepted.
Yeah,
and then it just
I was never really
out.
told about like how you feel about transitioning will change over the course of a year, 5 years, a decade.
Especially as you get older.
Yeah. And
that's the manipulation. Let me ask you this, Chloe. Lastly, we got about 3 minutes left, and I just want you to, what is your message to this current generation? Not just the kids that are being manipulated, but also to the parents that might be in that same place that your parents were, that are being told by some psychotic freak medical healthcare professional that your kids get to die if you don't accept this and go through this.
Well,
What is your message to them?
First of all, that suicide statistic is severely misrepresented. But to the parents, I'll start with the parents. In order to protect your kids from this, you have to start really young. Like, keep them off of technology, social media, the internet for as long as you possibly can. And once you think they're old enough to like get a phone, then really you have to like monitor what they're doing, like what the content they're consuming, and how much time they're spending on it, and keep them active in things in real life, like school clubs or hobbies, activities, and especially sports. I mean, when a kid's in a sport, they learn like not only like teamwork skills, but they also build up their confidence, and they stay physically healthy, and just let them know that spend time with them, let them know that they're loved, and there is not a single thing that they have to change about themselves. And to my generation, I would say, well, spend less time on social media and the internet. It's like a poison, really. Go out and do stuff. But really, what you think you might want now might not be what you really need, especially in the future. The feelings that you have now about something, especially something like this, really might change in a year, 5 years, 10 years. And I mean, I know it hurts to hear, but I mean, as a teen, there's a lot of things that we're really not equipped for, and especially making like a huge decision like this. And it's really something that you have to wait out.
Incredible. Chloe, thank you. Thank you for being here. Like I said, we love you. God loves you. We support you. Turning Point USA, whatever you need from us, do not hesitate to ask. Where can people follow you and stay up to date? Do you have any projects that you have going on? Anything people can be a part of to help your cause of what you're trying to do?
Yeah, so actually, I'm setting up a project called DETRANSITIONED. It's for detransitioners, by detransitioners, and we're working on ways that we can support detransitioners, not only like medically, like getting like physicians and therapists, but also trying to influence legislatures so that we can get like insurance coverage for detransitioning and stopping this from happening in children. And our Twitter handle is detrans_united, and then we have a website as well, detransunited.org.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone go support Chloe Cole and what she is doing. We have to support her. We have to protect our children. Like I always say, if we don't, we have nothing. We don't have a future. Love you.
Thank you so
much.
much.
My name is Drew Hernandez. Yes, my name is Drew Hernandez. These are the Frontlines. I'll see you guys on the next one.
We must play offense. Game on.
You expect the rest of the world to live in La La Land. We're not.
We've been saying these things from day one.
Our solemn vow to you, be good, be brief, be gone.
You might find yourself changing your opinion on things you've never even thought twice about. That really sets America apart.
You are not ready for season 2. This is Reloaded.
My life, tale, and my truth has been to fight socialism.
Are you familiar with structural racism?
Yeah, it's a myth.